Welcome back to the Morning Brew here on CNC3. Well, we now turn our attention to our regional neighbor, Guyana. There's a new twist to their elections. The Guyana Elections Commission, or GCOM, postponed its meeting scheduled for Tuesday after a private citizen filed legal action seeking to prevent it from using the recounted results to declare the results of the disputed March 2nd regional and general elections. Now, the 3 government-nominated members on the 7-member GCOM told reporters that the chairman, retired Justice Claudette Singh, had been served with the court action filed by the private citizen Masinga Jones, and that the matter will be heard in the High Court on Wednesday at 10 a.m. What does this all mean now? Attorney at Law Charles Ramson from Guyana joins us now to explain. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
It's a pleasure to be here. And good morning to everyone in Trinidad.
It's as though every day there's a new twist to the Guyana elections. This latest court action, what does this now mean?
First of all, I would like to thank you for your interest as one of our Caribbean partners, CARICOM partners. And it has been a saga. It's almost as if it's a Netflix series of one episode after another. What's going to happen next? Most people would have thought that it was coming to an end on Monday or yesterday, and then the government, the party in power for the moment, would have filed these proceedings, because I know that you said it's a private citizen, but it's not for all intents and purposes a private citizen. It's a person who is associated to the party of the government in power. They were one of the individuals who, the person was one of the individuals who was doing work during the recount on behalf of the party in power at the moment.
From where you stand, do you see more legal action coming forward?
I believe that everybody has a right to file, but I also know that it will be very difficult for the court to entertain this beyond what the legal parameters allow it to be to entertain. So what my expectation is, without being prejudicial to the issues, the substantive issues before the court, is that the court will more than likely not issue any orders to impede the work of the Elections Commission. Having been, now it's 4.5 months since our election, and it's been these unwavering efforts by the government, because they just refuse to concede, having realized that they've lost the elections. They had planned to rig this election all along, and when they realized, when it was exposed that they were rigging the election, instead of backing off and saying, look, we want a peaceful transition, and maybe uphold some of the honor that they would have had, they still refuse to concede. In fact, very recently, the president and the leader of their party has said that because GCOM hasn't issued any declaration, then he cannot concede. Well, that says to me that he doesn't understand what the word concede means, because you don't have to wait until a referee in a contest determines that you have lost the election for you to concede. You concede in advance of or prior to the referee saying that you've lost the election. The determination of whether you would win the election is on the basis of more votes which were casted. It's as simple as that. The People's Progressive Party for the opposition, of which, incidentally, I'm a member. I'm also a candidate in this election as well on behalf of the party. We would have won this election, and they knew this from the beginning. The world knows it. The vast majority of the country knows it. And that's why you see this unwavering attempt by the government, just because they're refusing to come out of power. But it's going to happen, whether they want to concede or not. The declaration is going to be made at some point or the other. And I don't believe that the courts are going to impede the work of GCOM.
How soon would you like all of this to be over?
4 months ago. 4 months ago. But I would say that the fact that there has been this undue delay can be seen as a victory on behalf of democracy and the strength of the institutions to not allow the diabolical hijack of our country. And I just want to be clear that this is an issue that affects all of us. And when I say all of us, I don't mean the people of Guyana. I mean also the members of CARICOM and the entire Caribbean, because there have been threats of sanctions emanating from our Western partners from the very beginning. And then very recently, Mike Pompeo, the Secretary of State of the United States of America, has also said that he has instructed his department to begin the process of sanctioning the persons who are seeking to benefit from electoral fraud or that are perpetrating electoral fraud. So it will affect all of us. Should it be the case that an illegitimate government is installed in Guyana, because it means that all of the trade opportunities that exist here and between countries, that also taints the people who are the countries which are trading with any illegitimate government. So, for example, you would see that when the sanctions were applied on Venezuela, the companies that were trying to do business with Venezuela, they were also threatened with sanctions, and they also refused now to do any kind of trading with Venezuela. What would have happened as well is that at the moment, there are about 16 million barrels of oil sitting offshore Venezuela in large vessels, carriers. And that's because the companies themselves don't want to take, or the countries don't want to take this oil from Venezuela because they are at risk of receiving sanctions as well. So we don't want to become isolated, both as a country and as a region, as a result of the illegitimacy that would befall on Guyana, should it be the case that the government is allowed to rig their way back into power.
Do you think Guyana has to do serious damage control when this is all over?
Damage repair, absolutely. Not only damage control. I mean, damage control is what we should have been happening right now. But instead of trying to do damage control, what you would have seen in Trinidad is that while the CCJ case was going on to determine whether finally we should have this the declaration be based on the recount. There were large ads placed in the newspaper, and it's exacerbating the unwillingness to come out of power. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is that they were threatening to de-recognize the CCJ as well as its involvement in CARICOM. And that is the extent that these individuals are willing to go to hijack political power in the country. And that's because the real reason, because I'm sure you're going to get to the question of what is the motivation. Well, the motivation is that the real motivation is that when we get into office, we are going to be able to see what they have been doing over the last 5 years and the extent of the corruption. I mean, we have a lot of it already, and we've been exposing a lot of it already, but it is that information can be crystallized by having the evidence to be acted on as well. So they're mortally afraid of coming out of power because they know what they're going to be facing should they come out of power. But it's going to happen regardless.
Mr. Ramson, as we wrap this interview up, with all that is happening in Guyana, what would you like your regional neighbors to know at this point in time?
Not only know, but do. And they have been doing already. First of all, we would like them to know that that the incoming government shares the values of being a regional partner and an international partner. That we share the values of being a democratic country that respects the will of the people and the rule of law. Those are fundamental tenets of who we are as a people in the region. And if you think about where our history came from, that is really where our strength as a region really came from, to be able to take our territory and to call it our own, and to be able to make our decisions for ourselves in that self-determination way, but also as partners and strength in numbers. So that's the first thing. But then the second thing is, we want our partners in the region to be able to stand firm with us, as they have been doing, because we will stand firm with them. Oh. This is really a battle for the world, right? Right.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ramson. I'm so sorry, but we are out of time. Right. But I'm certain we'll be keeping in touch. I mean, this Guyana issue, we're really hoping that it comes to an end soon, and the people of Guyana will emerge victorious, whatever that means to them.